Hi, I'm going to show you how to make sushi. We're going to do it two ways. We're going to do California and a maki. All of that will become perfectly clear in a minute. The key to getting good sushi is cooking the rice properly. So I have a lovely recipe here that involves 250 grams of sushi rice, so that goes into the pan. Add to that 330 ml of water. We're going to put that in now. The key is let that cook down. Give that a little stir. That's going to cook down until all the water's evaporated or been absorbed by the rice. It's going to take about 15 minutes or so. The key is then to mix rice vinegar and sugar together. I've got 90 ml of rice vinegar and 50 grams of sugar. Mix those two together, mix it in with the rice, cooked rice, and then just lay it on the tray. I'm happy with that. The rice is now nicely cooked. No more moisture in there. So that goes into my mixing bowl. I'm going to add the sugar to the vinegar. Give that a good old mix. Add a generous pinch of salt. And I'm going to pour most of this into the rice, but not all, for the simple reason that it might not need the whole lot. Give it a little taste. It should have a nice balance of acidity, sweetness, and you should be able just in the background to taste the salt. So I think that'll do. Quite happy with that. Right, so most of it goes in. The rice at the moment is quite dry and we want to moisten it up. Quite a bit of it's left over. The heat of the rice is obviously going to absorb most of it. I'm going to tip that onto here. Now don't worry if you think the rice is too moist, because if you leave it to rest for 3 or 4 minutes, as you'll see in a moment, it will absorb all the moisture and you'll have, perfect rice from which to work. Nori sheets are, generally speaking, a bit big for what we want, so I'm just going to cut them back a little bit. You'll see this sushi rolling mat that I'm using, we've covered in cling film. It just stops them from getting dirty and makes them easier to reuse again. And what I'm going to do now is take large chunks of this pre-cooked sushi rice and just layer onto the mat. And now I'm going to spread using one of these until we get a relatively even surface. Now I'm going to leave probably about ½ an inch at the bottom, which is going to make it easier for me to roll up at the very end. Right, we've now got most of the sheet covered in our prepared sushi rice, and now you can fill it with whatever you wish. I have a few classic ingredients here which I'm going to use. The first is some salmon, as fresh as you can possibly get, some avocado, and then I'm going to have some chive. I'm actually going to move everything down towards that end just so that it's going to be easier to roll. Straighten it up, and then you just need to work quite tight. So keep lifting it up, rolling, keep going. And then when you get to the very end, we've still got a bit of a way to go because I've created a bit of a lip. I can just dot that, run along like that. Over we go. And then I just like to lock out, press any air just by going along. And then if we open up, you'll see you have a pretty neat roll. And all we now need to do is cut that. I always find it easier if you cut roughly halfway. And then you can cut each side into thirds. So, that's probably the correct way of doing it, I think, is if you take that one as the dummy, then you can just all cut them roughly the same, and then the end ones can sort of stand up in their own right. So we've got 6 out of one roll is about right, I think. We'll play around with it because we've got some sweet pickled ginger, so maybe we'll do that. And then maybe just garnish with a little wasabi, like that. But anyway, that's salmon and avocado maki. I'm going to take the nori sheet and I'm going to cut it quite a bit smaller than I would with the maki, because it's all part of the inside out roll making process. What I'm going to do on this occasion is cover the entire nori with the prepared rice. So if I just grab this over here, I'm now going to use a palette knife just to spread the rice all over. One further thing to do is I've got some mixed sesame seeds, so white and dark, and I'm just going to sprinkle them over the top. I'll carefully peel this off the work surface and lay it right side down. That's the key to this. We're now going to make the filling, but before doing so, I'm just going to take some crab, white crab, this is just white crab meat, a little bit of mayonnaise, and we'll put a little bit of wasabi in there as well. Give that a good old mix. I mean, I'm only doing enough for one, but that should be plenty. As with the maki, you just lay a line. I mean, that's quite a generous one. I mean, that's about right. And then a couple of lines of avocado. This avocado, we've rubbed a little bit lemon juice in it just to stop it from discolouring. Right, now for the rolling up process. Quite straightforward. We're just going to roll up and over like so. Give it a good old squeeze and then just keep rolling. And then just before you get to the end, what I'm going to do is just rub a bit of moisture in there. What I might do is just give it a bit of a roll so it becomes a bit more even. And then there's one further thing that you can do, which is if you just give it a little squeeze any air out, and that's ready for slicing. I'll go halfway, about halfway, and I'm hoping that I'll get about 6 pieces out of that. And then we can plate up. And there you have the California inside out roll.